Hey, hey, hey. Hello, YouTubers. If this your first time coming, welcome. Glad to have you. If you're coming back, glad to have you as one of my returning campaigners. Always glad to have you, whether it's your first time or your 100th. This is Campaign Terrain. I am your host, that guy Cross. Welcome to the crafting basement. And tonight we're going to be putting some greenery onto the city blocks and things like that I've been attaching sand and grit to for the last couple weeks. So yeah, I'm pretty much going to jump straight into that. No real house cleaning this week, so to speak. I have been working on the role-playing game still, so a lot. So that's been kind of a thing. But it's been coming along, so that's all right. Crafting-wise, I really haven't been down here since last week, except for one day I came down and put some sand on a couple other little things, which you'll see in a minute. So for right now, I'm pretty much going to jump straight into it. We're going to be putting grass onto things, not grass, flock that can be used as grass or moss. I'm going to be making moss paste. It's super simple. It's the painted sawdust that gets used for grass and moss, and then white glue. And that's it. That's all there is to it. I will be using some of my little smaller things like craft palette knives and maybe a paintbrush, maybe the side of a coffee stir stick, that sort of thing. Just things to get into the little nooks and crannies. That's really all I'm doing. Let's see. I feel like there's other house cleaning bits I should get out of the way, but I can't think of what they are. So let's jump into, first off, let's talk about my patrons and people that keep this place going. You could be one. And those are right here. I've got 3 Patreon patrons so far. That's Lisa, the Dungeon Matron. She's got her own Discord channel, or Discord server, and a lot of us get together there and chat and talk about crafting, especially on Wednesday evenings, mid-afternoon her time on the West Coast, evening my time on the East Coast, middle of the freaking night for all of our European friends. So there were like 4 or 5 of them that showed up this last week in the wee hours. So yay, go there. So links to her Discord are down below. Next we've got Patrick Walther. Patrick Walther is a longtime supporter of the channel, and I super hugely appreciate all the help and effort that goes there. And then Digital Calibrator. Y'all have heard me talk about DC before. DC has come over and helped with things like the lighting and the audio and things like that. So if you're hearing it or you're seeing it, you have either excuse me, Dungeon Matron to thank for some of the equipment, or DC to thank for some of the actual help in putting it configuring some things. So hopefully you're hearing me. My little green bar over there tells me that it's going boopity boop. So yeah, that's it. Let's jump into it. I'm gonna turn this off real quick, and so you can see my face again. There's no lettering, and I'm gonna switch cameras back to this big camera over here, and then turn on that light so you can see it better. And I'm going to jump straight into it. There's nothing really to what we're doing tonight, so it's going to be a pretty straightforward sort of thing. Now, I have a bunch of flocks in all sorts of different colors of green because I have all these different paints that I've mixed over the years. So flock is literally just sawdust and paint, and then once it's dried, you grind it back up so it's powdery again. And I took all of I'm not kidding, like 20, 22, 20 something bottles of different greens, and I tried to combine them together into ones I thought looked good. And so I have a sort of let's go left to right for you. There it is. Spring, summer, and fall sort of colorings. Excuse me, sorry about that. And so I have different colors that I can put on for the different mosses. I'm mostly going to use this bright green, the spring green, or what I'm calling my spring green, the one I just arbitrarily decided. And I'm also going to be using some of this yellowy one. And additionally, once all the greens are done, I will be coming back and dry brushing just the mosses, the very tips of them, with like bright, like a yellow and like a really bright green, like an apple green, just to give some variation to the mosses. I'm really not going to use this one so much. It's just not going to show up against the gray of most of this stuff is stone. As you can see, I've got most of the things come out like this color, and so they're pretty gray, and that's not going to really show up as much. So that one we're going to sit off to the side. Excuse me. I'm sorry I keep coughing. I have moved a bunch of sand and stuff around today, and I had a huge coughing fit right before the show. So y'all didn't need to hear all that. That's why we started about 20 seconds, 30 seconds late today. And so if I continue to cough, I apologize. Now my old mic, I used to be able to mute it before I did that. This one, I can't do that. I don't have a mute button for it. So I will just try not to cough in your ear too much. So we're going to start with the bright, and we may not get to any of the others except the brighter one tonight because I've just got so many pieces that need moss. So I think I may just stick with the brighter green and just keep on going. All right, we've had 2, and then 1 already dropped out, so that's all right. They'll watch it on the replay. I'm not worried about it. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Okay, now I could sprinkle it on, but we're not doing that because this is going to be a large kind of mess. Now, this stuff will soak up the paint, the glue, and then it will start to clump. And so you actually don't want to get a lot of this, even though we've got a lot to do. I don't want to do a bunch at once, or it just starts to mat up and model up. So what I'm going to do is just break up these little chunks in here. I'm going to take a bit of this and dump it in one of these containers. And whoa! I just said not too much, and here I go. Okay. Now, that may look like a lot, and it kind of is, but as I said, I've got a bunch of stuff to cover in mossy green stuff. So we're going to take that and make sure you can see me. Sorry about the wobble cam. All right, let's point that nearish to the middle point here, and make sure that that's on. Yeah, you focusing? Yeah, okay, we're good. Okay, so now, since I won't be putting this like all over like I did with the sand, there's going to be less of a problem of it like sticking to my cardboard pieces and things like that. I'm still going to work on these because it makes it easy to lift things when they're on these work platforms. So I'm going to take that, set the ones I haven't done off to the side. That way I know where I'm working to and can go with that. Sorry, that was probably loud. I had to adjust my hat. My mic's attached to it. So that's probably really noisy. Apologize. Okay, so we're going to start with this little square again. Now, this is one of my roadways. It's about 6 inches wide. No, I'm sorry. This is a new building piece. This one's about 4 inches wide. And I put some glue and sand in between it to fill in some cracks. I don't know if you can see this, but it did kind of a crummy job. It didn't really get down in any of the holes or anything, but it's not so bad that a mini won't stand on it. Hey, Ghost, how you doing? So it's not so bad that the mini won't stand on it, but even so, it pushed up in some places and then down in others. It almost looks like something alive, like a little critter lived in there or whatever, but we're not into that. So that's the sort of thing, these little holes are the sort of thing that the moss covers up. This is exactly why we're doing it. So take this, regular old PVA. This is white glue, wood glue, school glue, glue all, whatever you call it. It's basic white glue. Cola Blanca if you're Hispanic, and some places speak Spanish. So this is ubiquitous all over the world. This is literally sawdust that's been blended with some paint. Nothing to the product I'm using here. All right, now this is going to need a lot of glue because I put kind of a big chunk of green in here. As I said, it wants to sort of set up and turn to concrete, green sawdust concrete here. So I got to work quick here, not super quick. I mean, fast as glue dries quick. And worst case scenario, I can put a couple drops of water in here and soften it up. Now, there's no real science to this. You get the consistency that works well for your speed at working, your ability to mush it into the corners, and the tools you're working with. So I am working with this little palette knife tonight. I used to have a plastic one I really liked, but it snapped off. I was really irritated. So now I have some metal ones. So as you can see, there's still some dry powder down in there. I am going to just be okay with that. That's fine. If I need to, I will add more glue later. But for right now, this top part is kind of pasty and chunky and will stick if I stick it on there. No, actually, now that I see that, I think that's not enough glue. Hey, Lisa, you actually made it. I thought you had a game tonight. So that's Lisa. We already talked about Lisa. Go to Lisa's Discord. Links in the down belows. So that's, again, Dungeon Matron, who I thought had a game tonight, but I am happy to have you here, so that is all good. I hope that there's no major reason you don't have a game tonight. I know that your area of the country has some issues going on, and we don't want to get into all that. I mean, I so definitely want to get into all that, but I'm not going to do it on my channel. Okay. But I am glad to have you along for the ride. So, yeah, we got John McElroy's Ghost. We got, yeah, West Coast. Game was canceled for unfortunate reasons. We're okay. Okay, good. Mrs. Lynn, okay. You got some stuff going on in your area, but not as bad. Mrs. Lynn's on the opposite coast. I do not know where Ghost is at. Yeah, so since this has decided to pick up all of the flock, that's the word. I've only used that word like a million times in my life, but here I go, forgetting English. Already explained my cough, so again, I apologize, but there's not much I can do about that. I do have some water I'll drink here in a minute. Okay, once I get this kind of mushy, I will be able to literally take this and mush this into little nooks and crannies and corners. Now, you do not want, you want it sticky enough to stick, but you still want it to be gloppy and chunky. If you make this too runny with the glue, it will end up just being green glue, and it won't really look mossy when it's all said and done. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to take a drink here. For those of you who missed my early announcement, I was moving some sand around right before the video started, and I clearly inhaled a bunch of it because I was a dipstick and didn't use a breather. But I honestly didn't see a little cloud of sand. I don't know where it went. Okay, so that's all we're doing. We're just sticking little things on it. Now. That's sticking up a little much, and I don't want it like that because this piece is a walkway. So I will push that down a little bit. Let me get some of this off of the... I have this on the wrong side. You should put this on the top, on the what would be the bottom of the knife. And I'm literally just using this to cover the holes. Kind of mushing it down into some cracks here and there. And that's it. So, I'm in for an exciting night of watching me paint green stuff onto gray stuff. It'll be super duper fun. Tell all the kids. Grab some popcorn. Yeah. So, anybody crafting or y'all just hanging? Hanging's good. I like hanging out. For anybody who is not aware of my shtick, I am trying to encourage everybody I can to use terrain in their games. Not so much. It's not that I'm against theater of the mind. I have run games that way and will again. I just feel that there's a greater sense of immersion when you have terrain. Plus, if you're the wargamer sort or your role-playing game has that sort of fidelity to it, terrain makes for a more clear showing of line of sight, height and height interaction, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's all we're doing is little green mossy bits. I still see a hole I missed, so let's hit that one. It's so funny to me that there are things that show up on the camera that I can't see, and vice versa. There are things that I can see that the camera does not pick up at all. Yeah. Oh, wow. I got lots of holes in this one. Well, it hits the table. Nobody but me will notice. Okay, so now, no matter what I did with these, I went over these twice. I end up with these little holes like this one down into the sand where the glue just separated as the sand and glue is drying. So those are where I'm going to hit first, and we'll go from there. Oh, wow. I looked up and y'all had typed a lot of stuff. Phoenix, Arizona, sunny and hot. Grain dries quickly with the help of the sun. Yeah, I love Phoenix. I used to live in Phoenix for 7 years. When I lived there, everything was straight and square. They hadn't built any of the freeways that run at angles and curves and stuff yet. I'm old school. I used to go to well, I don't want to dox myself or anything like that, but I used to go to a Phoenix, what is it? Phoenix Union High School, PUHSD, Phoenix Union High School District. Yeah, I used to go to a PUHSD high school. I went to Phoenix Public School District. Went to 3. Four? No, I went to 3 of those. 1 in 4th grade, 1 in 5th grade, and then 6th and 7th. 6th, 7th, and 8th. I went to another. Yeah, I didn't move. I went because I was in special classes, and yeah. So I like Phoenix. I used to climb North Mountain. I was an idiot. For those of you who don't know, North Mountain has a negative slope. That means you can climb on an area where your fingers are holding and your feet are dangling. And did I use climbing ropes and safety harnesses? No. Also, and this won't matter to anybody unless you're familiar with Phoenix, I also used to play in the irrigation canals on days when I knew it wasn't raining because I don't want to get washed away in a flash flood. But yeah, we used to go down in there and do that. Actually, some of the first, I wouldn't call it LARPing, but some of the first places that we ever went and pretended to be knights and stuff straight out of our D&D games, but with PVC tubes as our swords and that sort of thing. We're down in the irrigation ditches. Those of you who don't know, Arizona or Phoenix is a green dot in a huge brown sea of the desert, and all greenery is brought by irrigation. It wasn't green until people showed up and started building canals. Okay, now for these, I don't want to put any green across the stairs because that's where people are going to walk and all that, but I still might put some, and instead of just in the very corners, I might put some that runs out along the stairs a little bit, but not all the way across because traffic. Yeah, so where was I? Phoenix is done by irrigation, so it's all these canals that run everywhere. It's kind of an interesting system. Plus, the water there is really, really hard. So everybody has water softener systems that come around and deliver water softener, which is a whole thing. They literally unplug this huge canister and plug in a new huge canister. I think they'd use a different mechanism now, but it's still basically the same thing. It's just a different storage mechanism. Yeah, so Phoenix and the desert in general is wild. For anybody who really knows me, I absolutely hate, I have an insensate rage against wild pigs. And I did not know that until we went hunting javelina one day. Me and some friends went javelina hunting outside of Phoenix. And the first one I saw, I was just like, yep, I'm going to kill you. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, I eat meat. It's a thing. I cannot stand wild pigs. Now, your pink or white pig that's sitting in your barnyard just chilling doesn't affect me that way. But man, I see a javelina or a wild boar when I lived in South Texas. I want to, I don't know. It's almost like a phobia, but instead of getting scared, I get angry. And I really don't know why. It's not like I ever got attacked by a pig. No one I know was ever attacked. Well, we were attacked by pigs, but to be fair, we were hunting them. Can't really fault the pig there. But yeah, I don't know what that is. But anyway, so yeah, I have a lot of experiences out in Phoenix. A lot of fun stuff. I used to that was the 80s. We didn't just stay home and surf on our phones and all that sort of stuff. I went all the heck over the place. I was definitely a latchkey kid. If my parents knew half the places I'd have gone, I'd have been grounded my entire childhood. Oh, but different times. Let's see, what am I missing? Don't see as many terrain crafters in my YouTube stream these days. Yeah, I think that what happened was a lot of people got really into streaming or posting during the beginning of the plague. Now, the plague is still going on, but it seems to affect us less. And I think a lot of people have just gotten out of it. Now, I don't know if I always worry if there's somebody that I used to watch and I used to really enjoy watching or whatever, and then they just sort of disappear. I always worry something happened to them, but I can't be everybody's keeper, so I don't know what's going on with all of them. But yeah, so Ghost said that some people actually can't visualize things in their head, so I would say terrain for an RPG would be necessary if theater. Yeah, that's true. Some people just don't have that imagination thing. I didn't know that until about 3 or 4 years ago, actually, that some people have like no internal visual thing. Didn't know that was a thing. But everybody has their own thing. Yeah, I can see how I never really even thought about it that way, because I visualize things in my head all the time. Like when I build stuff, it almost always comes out exactly like I imagined it before I started building, that sort of thing. But yeah, I can see how for the people that don't have that visual thing, how this sort of terrain and all that would look good. Plus, you can always use this for dioramas and stuff like that as well. I am definitely behind on my Phoenix Mountain Preserve stomping around. Nice. Proto LARPing, exactly. It was proto LARPing. LARPing existed at the same time, not at probably at exactly the same time. A friend of mine had gotten me into the SCA as well, and I consider the SCA LARPing. And a lot of the SCA people get really mad when I say that, but we're not really trying to kill each other, so it's LARPing. So yeah, I did all of that at the same time. You have not had in-person games since you started building terrain. All my players online. I have not had an in-person game since since Rona came to town. I used to have occasionally here and there very short game, like it was supposed to be. It was supposed to have turned into a whole campaign and all that, and it just never did. The people would it couldn't. It's the same old story. Oh, I can't come this week. I've got blah. Oh, I can't come this week. I've got blah. Well, John can't come next week because he's got blah, and Kim can't come next week because blah, and it just sort of fell apart. But then once everybody had to stay home and not socialize and all that, yeah, I have not had an in-person game. I do not play online. It's just I want the being there with people. That to me, I'm never going to play virtually, not with any sort of regularity anyway. And so I basically haven't had a game since March 2020. So, which sucks, but it is what it is. This is going on remarkably well. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting it too smooth and all that. I got a really good consistency tonight. So I'll show you after I finish. A couple more little blobs here. There we go. That's too much. Nope. And too much came off. That's perfect. We will leave that. And by perfect, I mean close enough. So as you can see, oops, I got a hole I got to cover. Okay. There you go. I could probably cover this hole up here, but to be honest, I just don't care. This covers it. Good. Yeah, okay, we're good. All right, where am I on the messagings? So the terrain I've built so far has been weird stuff that might be used in only one game. Yeah, that's the thing. The problem with that, the only problem I have with that, because sometimes you build that one thing and it's freaking perfect and you're great, and it gets used once. Then I don't throw things out. And I don't have room for all of it. I have piles of stuff that's never going to get used. If I had a FLGS, or a friendly local game store, where I could just take it and sort of lob it on the table and leave it, that's one thing. My science fiction-y modern future hut I built a couple weeks ago, I'm going to stealth donate, because they don't really take donations of terrain or anything. I'm literally going to go in there one day with it and just leave it on the table. Find one of the tables that's like set up like Star Wars or something else futuristic-y, and just plunk down the little Quonset hut and leave it. But yeah, I don't have a place to store all the stuff I've got, so I'm trying to sell some of it, and I keep saying I'm gonna, and I've opened 2 different methods of selling online. I did sell one piece online. I sold one piece at an art show, but I mean, they were literally like $6 and $3 and blah blah blah. I'm not making my money that way. But too much. That's too much. So I don't know where I was. What I was saying. Oh yeah, so I just don't have room to store it all. I don't know what I'm doing with all this junk. It's not junk. It's lovely and wonderful, and some people would be like, oh man, I wish I could have that, but I don't have a way to send it to you, and I don't have an ability to sell it to you. So working on that, but I have too many other things between this and the game, and I think my friend's work may finally be getting off their butt and might hire me, and I might have a real job. Stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, is that too much? No, that is good. Okay, we're gonna got this on here. We will literally just take that and smear that up the sides and make it stick. And then we're done with this one. We're done with all 4 of these stairs and that little podium that goes between them. Really good. Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, I have more than 100 pieces that need this sort of sand and moss treatment. So that's 5 of them. I am, 1/25th of the way done. I found both of my broken bridges, the ones that are designed to be broken. And I decided not to put any sand and grit on those, because I don't know how I'm going to do it where it won't really, really, really be obvious. And then when I do the breakdown part and they come apart, it'll crack so basically I will know which ones are the breakdown bridges from now on, because they're the ones that don't have any sand or moss on them. I may put some moss on because that's a little bit easier, but I'm not doing that tonight. I've decided that is not a tonight thing. So we will take these 2 bridges. We'll set them on opposite sides of that, and we will set that balance on those. We will take that entire apparatus and put it over yonder. Okay. I also took some of my little walls and okay, now Lisa and Kim and I, Kim is from Questboard Terrain. Lisa and Kim and I were talking about my little walls like this. These are not the ones, Lisa, that were made with Jenga blocks. This is all foam. This is a foam rectangle and foam core between it, and then I covered it with glue with sand in it to make this textured wall. But this is that texture I was talking to you about that would totally cover up the fact if it was the Jenga blocks. These just happen to not be the Jenga blocks. These were a little bit top heavy and tippy, so I added some sand to the bottom of them to make it look less like a popsicle stick or whatever, any tongue depressor stick or whatever anyway, and it added a little extra weight at the bottom. So I'm going to hit some moss at the bottom of these. I don't think they need moss up the sides. I might go up these corners inside a little, but basically I'm just thinking like that. Done. Now, I wanted to cover that crack, so maybe I'm not done, but pretty done. Pretty done, but it's not done pretty. Okay. And opposite side of that. And this is getting a little dried out. Like I said, this stuff wants to dry out on you, which is weird because where I'm at, it's highly humid. Even down here in my basement behind air conditioners and everything else, it's still pretty humid in this corner. And yet, this glue wants to dry out while I'm using it, which is really funny because when I try to glue stuff, it takes 3 days to dry because it's so freaking humid. So I can't win for losing on that one. But, oh well, suffer for our art, so they say. All right, let me catch back up on the chat here in a second. Okay. Blob them and leave them. That's it. Okay, what do your stuff might be used in only one game. I'm not going to use my finger. I'm absolutely not going to use my finger for this. I can't stand the feel of the glue on my finger. I don't mind getting messy and gooky, but I've even rebuilt cars and had grease all over my arms and all that, and I'm fine in the moment. But if I pause for even a second, and this is a lot of pausing as I switch between pieces and that, if I pause for even a second, I realize that my hand is ooky and I have to go wash it. And I don't think you need to sit here and wait while I go wash my hand 12 times tonight. I am a finicky cat. I've got to clean the gook off my paws. So I am not using my finger. But I appreciate your enthusiasm in watching enough that you've gotten to the point where it's annoying you. So thank you. I'm sorry. Thanks. I apologize. But you can see when I'm being less careful with it, it comes out looking better. Okay, that one looks a little like guacamole, but it'll dry fine. Even if it looks like guacamole, it'll just make me hungry every time I play the game. So that's fine too. Yeah, that's the thing with the feral. I see what you mean about feral hogs, not dogs. But yeah, the feral hogs, there's a weird thing. Even fully 10, 12, 20th generation of farm hogs, they don't have tusks because they don't use them. Within 2 generations of wild-born hogs, they go right back to having full-size tusks again. In the same way that chickens are still dinosaurs and they know it, hogs are very similar as well. There's really no such thing as a fully domesticated hog. They're only domesticated for as long as you feed them on the farm. As the moment they wander off into the woods and start to root around for roots and fungi and stuff, they grow those tusks right back. Any juvenile that grows up rooting, those tusks pop right back out. It's kind of wild. It's one of those same things like everything in nature wants to be a crab. Pigs want to go right back to being full-on feral pigs. Now, you could use that little bit of information if you're trying to have the pig-style orcs in your role-playing games. You might have more feral ones and less feral ones. I'm not telling you how to design your world. I have 32 worlds that are going to be in my tabletop games. So I have been giving quite a bit of thought to piggy versus not piggy orcs. I'm not telling you any of my decisions because those are all going to be published in the book. I may have to tell Lisa because Lisa may or may not be in a position where you, Dungeon Matron, may or may not be in a position where we can work something out with the art in the game. But I have realized I have a lot more, since I've switched from just system in the first game and putting it more lore as well. It's going to be a while before I get to art. So that's a back burner sort of thing. We have plenty of time to discuss that if you want to, or nip that in the bud if we need to. But Lisa said that builds the one-off pieces and stuff like that, and you should see some of them. I'm still good English cross. I still can't get over that Halloween house. Ugh, so good. Spooky, creepy mirror with the hand coming out, and y'all gotta go check out Lisa's stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. So feral dogs in, where do you say you were? Central Illinois? It's Southern Illinois. Okay. I know some people from up that way, but I'm not that familiar with it. I haven't been to Illinois since I was 10, and I am not 10. A long shot. So, yeah, I don't really know that much about Illinois. I know lots of stuff about southern states, but I don't know much about the northern stuff. I don't know if you're in an area where you'll care, but we finally got our first actual, genuine, full-on Tim Hortons down here in Georgia. One of my housemates is born here in Georgia, but spent much of their life in upstate New York, and they are very excited about being able to go get Timbits fresh. So that seems to be a big deal. I have not been yet, but I have had some Timbits from there, so that's been a tasty experience. Oh, that's interesting. The people I know in Texas that they have like farm pink pigs and all that, they don't cut tusks out at all. They just don't ever seem to develop them because, well, you don't really utilize them rutting around in a trough. So maybe they did cut them out and I just don't know it, but it certainly has never been brought up. I've never raised pigs. I've raised horses and I've helped raise sheep, but I've never raised pigs. But like I said, if it's in a pen and it's, just rooting around, being all nice and quiet, I don't have that issue. But man, the moment I see a wild one out I get this loathing, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. A friend of mine says that my hatred of wild pigs is his only proof that we may actually have reincarnation or something like that, and like maybe in a previous life. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not reading all that much into it. I just hate wild pigs. Just go on with my day. I don't have a lot of wild pigs here in this subdivision. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of wild deer in this subdivision. A lot of wild deer in this subdivision. Like, we are right in that part of the year when there are babies. I have seen quite a few of the mamas and the babies already this year. That's a thing I've never had in a role-playing game. I've never had a race that had antlers. I've had races that had horns, but not antlers. I don't know why Anyway, I've had monsters and one-offs that had antlers, but I've never had like a deer folk or whatever race. I don't think I ever realized that until just now, but whatever. There you go. Mossy, 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 moss. Huh. That reminded me of that song, Mossy, 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 Moss. Which is not what I meant to go with that. Not the direction I meant to go with that, but it's a good song. It's not a happy song. It's a good song. Il Hadil, a 3D sculptor, has a series of Warhammer fantasy proxy figures, and his orcs are tusked, pig-headed ones, and they are called borks. I like that. My orcs are not based on pigs. They are I do have a race that is based on pigs, but they are not my orc equivalent. I actually don't have anything that's going to be called an orc or elf or anything like that. I'm actually creating all new races, but some of them will clearly be based on the tropey ones. But yeah, orcs is funny. Frostgrave has a monster type that's basically a humanoid caribou. Huh, interesting. I don't know that much about Frostgrave. All I know is I don't really like ice and snow much. Yes, I lived in Alaska. I have put in my time in the ice and snow. But I'm not a big ice and snow fan. And everybody always wants to build these cold things, and they always build them in like November and December. I'm like, build the cold stuff now, and build the tropical stuff, the hot jungle stuff in December. Why do we have to be all cold all the time? But there's a lot of cool Frostgrave builds that always come out around November and December. But I am not familiar with the caribou people there. Actually, I think the caribou are a people. Isn't there a tribe called the caribou of like Native Americans? I don't know. I could be wrong. That's bound to happen sooner or later. All right, so that's all of these. And here's one that's starting to dry up a little and set up. And as you can see, it starts to look like it has little leaves and such. And I will come back and touch these up with some dry brush of like yellows and bright greens to give them variation. But that's it. That's all this is just more of the same and more of the same. Now here's one this one is odd because it's oddly heavy and it's just made out of cardboard and cardstock. But for some reason, this one's way heavier than my ones that are made out of foam. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is, I am now going to just put some moss down in little parts of this. Even though this is a walkway, I have some very distinctly deepish areas, and I'm going to just put a little moss in those. Now, I don't typically put moss on any vertical surfaces unless I know that they're going in caves, because I figure most of these are mossy because of runoff and that sort of thing. So I am not putting any like down the sides here or anything like that. So little bits like that. And it's amazing how much difference these tiny little bits of greenery make on the finished pieces. I mean, it's astounding. God, I cannot say that phrase and I have that song in my head. If y'all know what song I'm talking about, cool. If you don't know what song I'm talking about, well, I don't know. If you can guess which song I'm talking about, come to the Discord and talk to me about that song. Now these, again, walkway, so I don't really want it here, even though I've got like holes and things. I'm just going to leave those pretty much unless they are super deep. So what I'm going to do is take some and scrape it basically clean. But I don't want the little holes, which is the point in putting the sand in the first place. So then, once that's done and scraped up, then I can go along in the corners and I'll just, if you just trowel it in just like that, it ends up looking really weird. So you actually don't want to just push it in. You want to like put globs in and pull the rest off. Because you don't want it to just be, you don't want it to look like you've spackled your bath in your bathroom. Come on. That bit of moss literally rolled around the end of my blade. That was weird. Okay. How's that looking? Yeah, got some other holes I gotta fill. Yeah, that's looking good. Now, some of these bridges have these little outcrops because those were designed to sit on top of the pieces next to them. But most of them, I ended up not doing that for reasons. So these were built at different times, but they all fit together. I've got enough of them that I can mix and match my little bridge connectors like I need to. Some of my bridge connectors, most of my bridge connectors are 3 inches wide, but some are long, some are 6 inches long, and I do have I'm working on some. They're not being built, they're not done yet, that are 6 by 6. I do have a 3 by 9 and a 3 by 12, but I don't have any 6 inch wides that long. And I have lost track of the chat again. Borks, I have loads of games that I've never played. Probably been about 8 years since I played an RPG or board game with friends. It's probably the early 2000s I played a miniatures game. Yeah, I have hundreds of games. I used to collect them from sources where people would put out a game and be like, yeah, I made a game here. Go check this out on forums and stuff. And even before itch.io and all of those. So I have stuff that you literally can't get anymore because the server that it was on isn't even there, much less the account that it was on. A lot of people, do stuff while they're at college and they'll leave it on the college server and never to be seen again. So I have a bunch of stuff that is like that. But I have literally 16 banker's boxes of notebooks and such that have all sorts of indie games. Most of them are not great, but you can tell that the people had a real passion for it and put it into it. And I love stuff like that. I love going back and reading it because even if you only ever play one game, but you have stuff from 200 or 300 games, you can always take this stuff that is in one game and use it as source material for running adventures in the other games, and no one will ever know that you took it whole cloth out of somewhere else because, well, they're never going to see it. So, yeah. I love having a bunch of games like that. Yeah. I get people all the time that say, I need a scenario for Blar. What about Blar? Have you thought about Blar? And I will talk something out, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. How do you think of that? And I'm like, I may have just glommed it from somewhere, or I may have made it up just because I am familiar with several hundred rule systems. I don't know. But yeah, my preferred version of playing is sitting at a table across from each other. I never really had anybody that did the greasy Cheeto fingers, so to speak. Greasy pizza fingers, that's a thing. But the way I say it is I want to be close enough that we can throw dice at each other if somebody makes a bad joke. I like sitting around the gaming table close enough to reach out and clap your buddy on the shoulder when he makes a good move. That's a thing for me. But yeah, I can deal with theater of the mind. I can deal with stuff like that, and even in person where it's literally just a pen and 2 or 3 sheets of paper and that's it. Like some of the Powered by the Apocalypse and Sworn games, like Iron Sworn, I think is one of them. Iron Oath, something. Anyway, we played a space variation online. Some friends of mine, where we discussed it and didn't really need a table, but it is not my preferred way to play. That one's smooth enough. I don't really need any other moss. Does that look good? Sorry, that was really mumbly to myself. What I said is, this is smooth enough. I don't really need any more moss on that one. Sort of mumbling that to myself, but under my breath. Sotto voce. To know what sotto voce means. Subtle voice? I think it's subtle voice. Anyway. Started with D&D in the 80s, and Lisa said, started with D&D in the 80s, but now I try nearly anything. Favorite for now is Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Call of Cthulhu is currently the most popular game in Japan. Have you been playing with any of the Asians? I know the Asians really love Call of Cthulhu. A friend of mine's got an ongoing game where it's him and 2 or 3 Koreans who are at university there in Korea. They speak English. He does not speak much Korean. Yeah, D&D never caught on in Japan as much. They really tried, but the problem was they really didn't try to give any support to the customers over there. And so the customers were like, well, we need more of this. And so some stuff that got popular over there was stuff like Lodos War. And Lodos War is originally sort of a D&D based game with some added changes and all of that. And then Lodos War came out as its own tabletop RPG. And that was the big one for 30 years in Japan. And still is huge. There's a huge Lodos thing. There's actually... The game that came from Lodos is called Storm King? I don't know. But I've got a copy of it. I have yet to read it because I got 927 other games. But I want to. I do like the anime Legend of Lodos War. But apparently right now, the big game over there is Call of Cthulhu, not D&D or even the Lodos derivative, which I find kind of interesting, but the Japanese are big into horror, so that's not really surprising. Yeah. I played Call of Cthulhu first edition back, it's one of those games that I'm old enough that when the stuff came out, I played it before it was called first edition or second edition. It was just Call of Cthulhu or just D&D before there were editions. And Call of Cthulhu is one that I used to kind of enjoy, but I haven't really played it. I've heard the new system, they've fixed issues with the playability of it, and it is very streamlined and good now from what I understand, but I don't know. I didn't dislike it then, so I don't know how they would specifically improved it. But improve it they apparently have. Okay, so we're gonna take this, put that over yonder, and I had my other flats like that I could put. Oh, I'm just gonna have to stick these over here. Oh, if anybody is interested in the measurements on these, they are originally about 3 inches on the stick, but they're a little bit long. And then after I added like the texture paint and stuff like that, they're actually closer to 3 1/4. Definitely over 3 1/8. So for anybody who cares, that's how big those are. These are literally just squares of XPS foam and then peeled foam core between them. Foam core, the foam in foam core is XPS, but it's a softer consistency. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I heard that there was a Gundam game coming out. With the popularity of BattleTech growing and a couple others, I heard there was a Gundam game coming out, but I don't know. I have not played BattleTech again since first edition. I didn't even know there were other editions until about 6 months ago, excuse me. And somebody's like, "Oh yeah, we're playing like 5th edition." I was like, "What?" That was the thing. All right. Okay, so this is one of the ones that I have added sand in the grooves, and I did a pretty good job with this. The sand is fairly smooth and all that. So I do have this one that I added sand in the grooves, and I really, really, really want to throw this one out. I think I completely screwed it up, and I don't like it. But these were not individual tiles where the glue could really get down in there. These were trimmed just to make lines, and the glue didn't have anywhere to go. So now the sand really sticks up off of that. I don't know if I can show you that. And has now standing proud of the foam. And I don't really like these, but I'm still going to moss it and see what I can get it to do. I do have 3 others with that type of top that I have not screwed up, and these will probably take foam the flock really good, really well. But I don't know that I'm going to get to all those tonight. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8. I've already been on an hour, and I only like to take an hour and a half at most. So yeah, some of these deeper spots, I'm going to toss some moss in those for sure. I don't know if you see that, but there's like a gouge in that, and things like that. So just continuing right along. Let me get back to reading the thing again. Where were we? Gundam. That's where we were. John McElroy's Ghost said Dungeon Matron's Machination. The best thing about it was realistic. You roll for hit locations. You had armor in that location, block damage, hit points. And I am doing that in the game I'm writing. I may have gotten that from Call of Cthulhu, but I actually think I picked that up from LARPing. Because LARPing, you only get armor where you actually have armor. It's possible for a troll to kill a hero. Yeah, I don't like. There's 2 types of games. Super duper epic, crazy. You want your guys to do just amazing, balls to the wall stuff, just out there. And in those, I like the heroes to live because they want to go do their hero-y stuff. But there's also crunchy, and I like crunchy games. I don't. If you're going for realism at all, and you're not trying to make it cartoony or epic over the top, then that's not looking too bad. Yeah, I don't like. Characters should be able to die. That's a thing. You don't, if there's no chance that your character that you've spent 100 hours playing is going to die when you attack the 427 orcs, there's no thrill. There's no buy-in. It's like the old thing of, you see a dragon, great, I kill it, what's it got? That's not for me. So I like crunchy. I don't, as a GM, I'm always the GM. Nobody ever wants to run a game, I find. As a GM, I have never experienced a TPK. I have not planned against having TPKs, but I certainly don't plan for it. I do not try to kill them all off. There should always be a way out, even if it's just, I'm not fulfilling this contract, I'm going back to town, they can suck it, they can send other heroes. There needs to be a way out, in my opinion. That said, once you're in the thick of it and you've decided that, it's only 4 hydras, we can take them, yeah, sure you can, buddy. I don't stop Egypts from jumping into danger. I do pull the thing that that other guy who has the TV show, can't remember his name, I don't really care about his name, but the whole, you can certainly try. I've said that for 40 years. Can we blah blah blah? You can try. Or what skills do you have that seem like they would be good for that? That's always a good one. Oh, I guess I don't really have any skills. Then maybe you shouldn't be trying to. But yeah, I like a good crunchy game, but I don't want it to just massacre the people either. I'm not big on grimdark because there always needs to be like that light at the end of the tunnel in my view. But if you're playing Call of Cthulhu or you're playing Paranoia, not for the first time, and you know it because you've experienced it before or seen it before, once you know what you're getting into, you know what you're getting into. It's the same thing as I know somebody that says that a certain series of games is too dark and sinister for him. It's like, everything's all bad. I'm like, dude, it's literally called World of Darkness. What were you expecting? But where's it going with this? Oh yeah, crunchy's good, but I don't try to kill everybody off. That's all I was saying. Basically, and if y'all can't tell what I'm doing, any place where there's a low spot, I am trying to cram, like a hole, not just a divot. I'm trying to cram some of this greenery in to sort of hide the sins of that. And this all being greenery is fine. This is going to be like a city courtyard anyway. There may be houses on this. There may be a marketplace on this. And yeah. So I seem to have gotten most of this pretty well of the low spots. I may toss some others in here just because it looks kind of barren. But you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of some of the less used sidewalks in New Orleans. Near, not necessarily in, but near or in the French Quarter. There are some places that look a lot like that. There's tiles with just grass growing up between them. And this is reminding me of that, which I guess means I'm doing a fairly realistic job if it's literally making me go, oh, that looks like that place I went in New Orleans that time. So that's kind of cool. Okay, and I don't know if you see me, I'm keeping doing this. I'm trying to find the low spots and stick moss in them. And you wouldn't think it, but little itty bitty greenery bits like that make a huge difference on tops like this. I think that's good for this one. There's a gouge here, but that's actually from a knife. Previously, I accidentally hit it with something, dragged across it. I think I'm going to leave that because it looks like a new thing. It looks like where somebody's cartwheel broke and dragged. Now, some of these stick up a little, so I want to push these down. But after all is said and done, I can come back by and just run my hands over it, and anything that sticks up too proud will shunt off of that. Okay. So let's put you over here and you over here. And I think I got time for one more, and then I'm going to let y'all head on out. Yeah, see, that's 10 Candles is not my style of game. I understand that there's people that are really into that. That's, oh crap. I just dropped the cap to my glue. Well, gonna have to find that later when I'm sweeping. All right, so a little more glue in there. I don't think I need any more of that. Glue is drying out, so yeah, 10 Candles is not my sort of thing. I have read parts of it, but yeah. But there are games that I like that are dark and sinister and stuff like that. There's this one older game called Dark Conspiracy, and it's literally a dark conspiracy. You've got vampire intelligences and aliens and robots and AIs and all sorts of stuff, and all of them pretty much want humans gone. They want Earth for themselves in all sorts of different ways. And some of them, they're not even really evil. They just are trying to survive, and one of the things that's in the way is us. And yeah, so that's pretty crunchy game as well. And I like it. I like some of the stuff in it, but again, it's too dismal for me. Let's see. You're not supposed to fantasize about killing your other players' characters. In the meantime, that's either really funny or really sad. I don't know. Never had to run games for some of the idiots I knew. After a while, I had no problem killing a character, letting other players do it, or fantasizing about doing it in real life. Here you go. That's that whole, what you tell me about it that one time, Mrs. Lynn, the Keith rule, is that right? It's like, you gave, I think his name was Keith, where you gave the other players an out in case he did something idiotic. Like, man. Yeah. Only ever had one truly annoying player, and he only played for 3 sessions and then basically never showed up. He had dragged his girlfriend into it because he wanted to play a game and he wanted to do stuff with her. So he dragged his girlfriend to it. We were like, okay, fine, you can come play, no problem. He disappears after about 3 weeks. The other players, including his girlfriend, made pacts and deals with people by stealing his stuff and selling it, and leaving his body in an alley where the underdwellers could find him. And I'm like, dang, when your girlfriend is so irritated that when your significant other wants your character to get eaten by the underbeings, that's, yeah. So apparently I wasn't the only person he irritated. God. On the other hand, he did have one redeeming quality. He's one of only 2 players I've ever had that used frying pans as a weapon. By the way, frying pan, a heck of a weapon. It's an iron club that you can also cook dinner in. God, he was annoying. I was not upset when he disappeared. And she kept coming. That's the thing. She kept coming and playing. He had been like, "Oh, do this thing with me." And she's like, "Oh, fine, okay." And then she ended up staying. Kind of crazy. But sometimes it just be like that. I don't like that schmear, but I guess it doesn't look that bad, really. All right. Like I said, any place I see a little hole or divot, I'm putting some green goop and then scraping it back off. So it just leaves it in the little recesses. Yeah, Keith rule had to happen to prevent railroad everyone else. Yeah, that's, well, got to find a workaround. Yeah, no, playing evil when you're the support person is that's not really a thing because you're there to help heal everybody and all that. I had a player one time. It hadn't really occurred to me that the way that her goddess was written in that particular book and the way that she had described it, she ended up healing like enemies sometimes, but only after the fight was over when there was no danger. She would like heal anybody that was left on the battlefield. I thought that was particularly nice. I if I suddenly developed healer powers tomorrow and got involved in sword and sorcery sort of mayhem, I am not certain that I could bring myself to heal an opponent in real life. Much then in the game, I'm not even going to waste the mana. Or the potions or whatever it is. Ooh, that's too much. None of that off. Okay. A hole here and here. and here. A lot of those right next to each other. Okay. More up here and over here. And I think I'm going to call this one good except for the outside edge. Because it's got some holes like right here in between where the sand didn't really take. I realize I've done about half this off screen tonight, and I apologize for that. But y'all get the idea. Scrape the green into the crack, scrape the green off of the crack. Mm-hmm. Yep, I never had to find a workaround to avoid the railroading people or all that sort of thing. I find that most of the players I've had have had their own ability to find their ways into and out of trouble. Now, sometimes it's trouble I hadn't even written into the game, and they're like, yeah, but what about that guard we passed? I'm like, oh, crud, right, there was a guard. Let's see how that's working. Oh, yeah, he totally noticed you. What are you going to do? They think I'm amazing because they think I've written every guard out with a whole life story, and I'm like, that is not a thing. All right, but I've never needed to find a workaround for somebody that was so bad that otherwise I would have had to railroad people. That sounds like some suck or just an experience in creativity doing it, which can also be its own good thing. All right, so I think that one's good. Wow, tried to smear off the tall piece and got a different tall piece. Okay, so I think that is enough on this one. And I am going to call that a night because I'm kind of running out of places to sit things to dry. And I am, it's getting towards, it's 8:15 already. I've been on an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to read the chat window here in a second again. But okay, now these things here, this will harden up and turn into a rock of green, and that's fine if you've got a coffee grinder or anything like that can grind it back up, because this stuff will grind right back up into flock again. Now I am going to, instead of making it one solid block, I'm going to kind of spread it around in here so it's smaller pieces that'll get into the grinder blades easier. But I am not rinsing this out. I'm not washing it out. I'm not wasting the flock. This will get used somewhere. So I will spread that around so it makes smaller, easier to break up pieces. I need to find my paint water. There it is, my paint water jar. And I will use that to soak the glue and flock off the end of my knife. Then I will read the chat window again. Okay. Yeah, didn't know what a pagoda was. That's the whole classic. People aren't that dumb when you say, you see a gazebo. I shoot it. What's it got? Yeah, I've had the gazebo experience, literally two different players, two entirely different groups of people. And they were like, oh, great, I shoot it. What's it got? And like the other players are like, do you not know what a gazebo is? But a pagoda I can kind of see more than a gazebo. But yeah, that's... Japanese culture has gotten so popularized here in the West that I'm surprised you didn't know what a pagoda was. Let's see. Yeah, some people, role-playing games and war games are just not for some people. They either can't strategize the war game or they can't visualize. The old cliche for actors is, what's my motivation? And there's some players that never get that in their games. Well, this is really strange. It looks fine on camera, but in person, it looks like it's whatever. I'm not going to sweat it. Nobody's going to care when it's on the battlefield. It's going to end up being stuck on the battlefield for like this for like 20 minutes, and then it'll go back somewhere else. So I'm not sweating it too much on this. Yeah, no, depends on what the enemy owns or is willing to pay. I can totally heal you if you give me that piece of information, or if you cough up. Yeah. Oh, the doctor for money. Abe Pagoda. Ow. Ow. Made me feel old. I miss Abe Pagoda. He was funny as hell. All right, so let's turn off that light that blinds you real quick. This light is too bright on y'all, so let's turn that off. Okay, and now we'll switch to the front. And I can talk to you this way. Yeah, so some of that stuff's coming out looking really good. You can, I don't know if you can see, well, no, this light's too yellow. All those weird light spots on this, those are where the greenery's at. Yeah, so I got a pretty good amount accomplished. I got 2 of these flats. I got 6 of these smaller bridges. I got 10 of these little wall segment things. And I got 4 stairs and the 4-inch by 4-inch raised platform thing done. So that's good. All right, so we will sit you back over there, and we will sit you back over there. And actually, I didn't need to move that. I could lift it right here till next week, or till I come down later this week. All right, so I've been on for 2 hours and 18 minutes. That's enough of y'all's time. But once again, this is Campaign Terrain. I'm your host, That Guy Cross. This is the basement. You're welcome to come and watch me play around with little stinky stuff all the time. You're actually welcome to come. If you can find out where I live, you can show up here. But I have ways to support the channel, mostly like, share, and subscribe. And please, after the live is done, refresh the page and leave a comment. Apparently, comments drive the algorithm more than anything else. So that'd be cool, super cool. If you want to actually throw money at me, which I will happily take, I have Patreon, I have a Buy Me a Coffee, and I have a, I never remember what the other one is. Venmo. That's it. I have a Venmo, but some people don't like using Venmo, and that's fine. And you don't have to. I'm going to keep doing stuff for free, whether y'all throw money at me or not. But I like the money. Yeah. I'm working on a role-playing game consistently, doing stuff on that literally daily. I've got no actual projects in mind here, though. Carl makes stuff, has a stream coming up in like 6 or 7 weeks of the topic for the next build is farm. I can show you what I'm doing on that. Give me just a second. So I went to the Dollar Tree and got a doormat, like a greeting mat, except it was a big rectangle about that big, and it looked like that. And so I've cut it into 6-inch squares, give or take. And then I've got some smaller pieces that are the ones that were the leftovers and cutoffs. I made sure to cut at an edge where it leaves the ridge that's going to be the furrowed lines, the tilled lines. Not right at an edge, but in a bit. So I've got 7 of those, and some other smaller pieces here. I'm going to make some things there, just put some crops on them. My stuff for farm is going to be super simple. Writing the game, putting the grass on stuff like you've seen, working on the thing for farm, and those are all the projects I really have. I don't have anything I need built, but I am working on, like I said, creating yet another store where I can sell pieces. I have a bunch of pieces that are already ready for that. If I need to, I have some other things that I could jumpstart into that. And that's really what I've got going on. If you ever want to talk about crafting, or anything really, but if you ever want to talk about crafting, please come hang out on my Discord or Dungeon Matron's Discord. We talk about this stuff all the time. On mine, there's also places where we post puns and jokes and crafting humor and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's all I can bore y'all with right now. Okay, I'm giving you extra ideas. Oh, well, you got 6 or 7 weeks to do it, LC. So loosely collected. Yeah, the next challenge is farm. Purely twisted idea, yeah. And Dungeon Matron's got a twisted thing going on. So, yeah, so mine's not at all twisted. Mine's going to be pretty straightforward, but I think they'll turn out well. And I got the idea for using these particular mats from, what is the name of his channel? He doesn't put out videos anymore, and so I forget the names of stuff that disappears after a while. The Gamesmith. Gamesmith gave me the idea of using these as the farms, as furrowed areas. Okay, so yeah, that's everything. I'm done talking y'all's ear off for the night. Yeah. Campaign terrain, Bad Guy Cross, the basement. I love you. And until next time, I wish you luck in your campaign, whether it's in real life or on the tabletop. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming.